My name is Tara, and I am posting this in response to what Dan posted about hardcore internet fans. I have a different perspective on it, only because of my age range, I think. While I agree with everything Dan said, basically, I'm 31, and I've been a fan of things since before the internet because I'm a little bit older than at least the widespread use of the internet. And back when I was about 12 or 13, I was really into the book and TV series Anne of Green Gables. And I would say that was like my first major fandom. But the thing is, it wasn't really a fandom per se because I didn't have access to talking to thousands of other people about the same thing instantaneously because we weren't really online talking about stuff like that back then, back in the day. And I am on Tumblr now, but I'm Tumblr old because I'm, 31. So I kind of have an interesting perspective on it, and that's what I really want to talk to you guys about, especially the younger people that are on Tumblr. So after that fandom, and I'll use the term loosely because, like I said, there weren't, opportunities to talk to other fans of that series. I was really into Jurassic Park when it came out in theaters, actually. And I was pretty young when I got to go see it. I remember just being kind of old enough to go. But I was hardcore interested in this movie. I loved it. I was completely crazy about Dr. Grant, which I think a lot of younger people will understand because I always see posts about people saying, my mom doesn't understand why I'm obsessed with Loki and Tom Hiddleston because he's so much older than me. And it's like, I've totally been there because that's how it was when I was so into Dr. Grant in Jurassic Park. And I turned out relatively normally. I married somebody who's like a year and a half older than me. My movie actor crushes are actually all still kind of in that like 30 to 45 age range, so I guess like my taste never changed. But anyway, if you're all worried that you're gonna like grow up and be crazy weird and like old and like 80-year-olds when you're 30, that's totally not true. It won't happen. Don't worry. And then from there I really went on to like Lord of the Rings when I was in college, and also Firefly. And any of you Avengers fans out there who haven't seen Firefly, I think you'd really like it because Joss Whedon made it, and that's how I actually first got into all of the stuff. So anyway, those were the first fandoms where I was really interested in them, and there was a pre-existing internet culture about it. And it was really great to go on and interact both from the perspective of an English major who loves studying characters to just being a fan and just going and just giggling over how fun all these moments, in the movies were and in the books. And now, of course, is the Avengers. And so I'm sort of old compared to most of the people probably watching this. However, I still love the Avengers. And long before I was a fan of the Avengers, of course, I surrounded myself with a bunch of geeky friends who like geeky things just like me. And I would say that none of them are really as interested in the Avengers as I am. However, they've been long-time comic book fans, especially the guys, including my husband, and it's kind of difficult to explain, but I felt like I sort of liked that stuff and I understood it. And I was more of like, like a Firefly geek, I guess I would say, more into stuff like that. And I do live action role playing and play Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm more of like the geeky writer chick, but I do all this nerdy stuff. But I couldn't really get into comics because being female, I guess I felt like when I would go see the movies and stuff like that, they were good, but it wasn't necessarily written for me. That's kind of how I felt. Like, I still felt a little bit excluded from that. And that really changed with Thor and with the Avengers. And I would say to another extent with Captain America as well. I felt like those movies were made with me in mind as well as other people. And that's kind of how I got into this fandom and really into supporting it actually as more than just, hey, that's my favorite actor or whatever. This is more like, hey, I really like the direction in which this is going. It's like a really good example for people and a really good thing for young people to follow. So I completely understand where you guys that are younger are coming from, and I've been through this with several other fandoms, and this is the first one that I've been on Tumblr for, but I think internet culture has certainly added to the amount that you can do and explore and learn in a fandom. And I think that also applies to all of the reblogging and writing and all of the role playing that we do as fans of the Avengers and in other fandoms as well. I think it's a great way to learn about and explore your fandom. And I can remember, when I was younger, I was in between classes, and my friends and I would write Star Trek The Next Generation fanfic, and we would pass it back and forth. And one of the teachers found out about it because I was writing it during class instead of doing geometry, because I'm a word nerd and I don't like math. A horrible example. But anyway, she said how wonderful it was that we were doing this. It's not good to do this during, class, but that it's great, that fan fiction is great because it really helps you work with characters that are already made. And I've kind of supported that philosophy over time. And I am a professional writer now. I do write mostly nonfiction. However, I have to say it really does help you kind of develop your original characters and learn about what you want to do and what kind of things you want to write, and explore yourself. Like, why do you psychologically relate to such a character? Look at who you play and why do you play them? Why do you admire them? Why are you so interested in these characters? I think it's a really great, safe way to learn about yourself and what types of people you prefer to interact with. And as far as, Tumblr ruined my life, because I see that all the time, and Dan referenced it a little bit in his video, it comes down to time management like anything else, like any other hobby. I mean, I could spend, a couple hours a day on Tumblr. I could spend a couple hours a day scrapbooking. I could really honestly feel that time and that need for time to myself to do any number of hobbies. If I had the opportunity to LARP, I would probably actually be outside live action role playing, every week instead of doing this. But it is a more time consuming and financially consuming and physically demanding hobby, so I'm not doing that every week. But this is a hobby I have, and it is about time management. I spend X amount of time working, I do X amount of chores, and then I'm allowed to spend the rest of the night doing, this. Or after I do 2 posts, then I need to do this, or I'm not allowed to continue. I just set limits for myself, just like a parent would, or just like my mom would if she was sitting behind me. And that's really the key to it. So just kind of get your stuff done, put your real life first, manage all of the things that you need to accomplish in your real life first, and then once that's taken care of, enjoy your time. And don't feel guilty about being a geek. It's the best thing ever, and it is getting super commercialized now and stuff, but your fandom is yours. It really is ours. And one great thing about the Avengers fandom is Joss Whedon understands that, and he's known that since Buffy, and has made comments on that before. So it's absolutely wonderful to be in a fandom like this, where the people who create it, support the fact that so many people love it and have their own ideas and their own communities around it. And with something as big as Marvel, that's just how it has to be successful. And it is an absolutely phenomenal fandom to be a part of. And so to all the young people out there, just keep doing what you're doing, just manage your time, and that way you won't fall victim to it. I know you like to joke about the fact that some of the Avengers and Loki are life ruiners because it takes so much time to scroll through all the tags and look at them. But just limit your time and see where you're spending your